Hi everyone, my name is Zoe Gilbert, and this is the first video in a series of book critiques on children's literature. So come with me and let's begin. Now, we've all heard of Winnie the Pooh, but most of us have not heard the origin story of the world's most famous bear. Let me introduce you to Finding Winnie. This story is about a veterinarian soldier from Winnipeg who buys a bear cub from a trapper at a train station. He names the cub Winnie, short for Winnipeg, and takes her to England with his regiment during World War I. When it came time for the soldier veterinarian to head overseas, he realized that he would have to leave Winnie behind in the London Zoo. Later, a little boy named Christopher Robin would meet Winnie at the London Zoo. Our first activity for this book is a first grade science activity. During first grade, students are learning about how animals survive in their natural habitat. The goal of this activity is for students to research a particular animal and create a bundle of that animal in its habitat. To begin, I would model with bears to show students how to create a habitat bundle. Next, students would create their own habitat bundles. Finally, we would place all the slides together to create a classroom book that could be shared with a wide audience. Here is an example of a bear habitat bundle that I created. Our second activity is for first grade social studies. During first grade, students are learning about how primary source documents, such as photographs and letters, can be used to learn about the past. The goal of this activity is for students to discuss the photographs in the back of Finding Winnie. I would have students engage in think, pair, share with a partner. They would respond to discussion questions such as, who is in this photograph, and what does this photograph tell us about the characters in the story? Moving on from our feature text, we have Showway by Jacqueline Woodson. This book follows many generations of an African American family. It shows how they overcame hardships to find freedom and self-expression. It is called Showway after the Showway quilts. These quilts were maps that the women in this family made to help guide African Americans along the Underground Railroad. Here we have Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. This modern fantasy has many of the same characteristics as a fable. I say this because the main characters are animals and there is a strong moral to the story. Sylvester is a donkey and he loves collecting rocks. One day, he finds a magic pebble that grants his every wish. Unfortunately, Sylvester makes a wish that lands him in an interesting predicament. I won't spoil the story for you, but let's just say that this is an excellent book for teaching students to be grateful for what they have. Here we have Owl Moon. This is a very serene book written in prose with delightful sensory language. It's a story about a father and a daughter who go owling together late at night. Moving on, we have Parrots over Puerto Rico, and this is an informational book. It goes over the history of the parrots native to Puerto Rico that Puerto Ricans call iguacas because of the sound they make. This book explains how the iguacas became endangered and how scientists in Puerto Rico helped to restore the population. This book is a great tool for teaching Spanish vocabulary in a meaningful context. Something I really like about this book is the illustrations that are made from collages. Here we have The House in the Night. This book to me is very reminiscent of Goodnight Moon. It has a lot of contrasting imagery and short, repetitive phrases. I would place this in the category of a concept book because it focuses mainly on nighttime and everything associated with that concept. Here we have The Cookie Fiasco, and this is the story of 4 furry friends who have to split 3 cookies between the 4 of them. I think this is a great book to introduce students to the concept of fractions as equal shares. Our final book is Sleep Like a Tiger. This story begins with a little girl who doesn't want to go to sleep. her parents start talking to her about how all the different types of animals sleep. They try to convince her to sleep curled up with a tiger, because just like all animals, tigers need to sleep in order to regain their strength. Alright, so that's all the books I have for today, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.